Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start today's video with a story about sweet, sudden freedom. After enduring a year of racism, favoritism, and constant micromanagement, one employee had finally had enough. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. My boss was an a-hole, so I quit without notice. What the title says, honestly, I quit without notice after enduring one full year of racism, favoritism, and flat-out discrimination from my boss. It wasn't a decision made in haste, it was the result of months of biting my tongue, swallowing my pride, and doing the work of 3 people while being treated like I was disposable. From day one, she had it out for me. I was one of the top-performing employees. My metrics, output, and feedback from clients were consistently among the best in the department, yet somehow I was also one of the most underpaid. Every time I brought it up, I was told, "We'll review your salary next quarter," which of course never happened. What did happen was that she'd look for reasons to criticize me. If I made even a tiny mistake, she'd send me a passive-aggressive email followed by a written warning. Literally, I once got written up because I used the wrong font on a presentation title slide. Meanwhile, her favorites could show up late, miss deadlines, or botch major projects, and she'd shrug it off as a learning opportunity. The racism was the worst part, subtle, insidious, but constant. She'd make jokes about my accent. She'd assign me to handle the diverse clients because I relate to them better. She once told me in a meeting full of people that I should be grateful just to have a job. I complained to HR, but of course they backed her. She'd been with the company for years, and I was too valuable to lose, which in their language meant too useful to fire, but not worth protecting. So I stayed, quietly planning my escape. After a year of that nonsense, I started looking for other jobs. I wasn't even picky, I just wanted out. Within a few weeks, I got an offer from a company that valued experience and actually paid what I was worth. The salary bump was almost 30%, plus better benefits and remote flexibility. I signed the offer letter the same day. That afternoon, I walked into my boss's office and handed her my resignation letter, effective in 5 hours. She blinked at it like she didn't understand. "You're quitting today?" she asked, incredulous. "Yes," I said. "I've already tied up my pending work and left transition notes." She sputtered something about professionalism and proper notice, but I didn't stick around to argue. I cleaned out my desk, said goodbye to a few coworkers I actually liked, and walked out of that building lighter than air. The fallout? Beautiful. Within 3 months, 2 more employees quit, one of them her golden child. Word got around that morale was in the gutter and workloads were impossible. It's been almost a year since I left, and they still haven't found a permanent replacement for me. So congratulations to my ex-boss. She managed to drive out her best workers and tank her own department. Couldn't have happened to a more deserving person. You didn't need to shout or humiliate her. You just proved you were the professional she never deserved. It's amazing how quickly toxic managers fall apart once their best people stop caring for them. Watching the dominoes fall after you left must have felt like closure in slow motion. You didn't just quit your job, you reclaimed your peace. And our second story. Customer demanded a $115 item for $49 because we were out of the sale item. I've had my fair share of customers that I've dreaded helping out due to their attitudes or other characteristics, but this was the first time I had one of the weirdest conversations and people that could honestly be a true tale from retail. This all happened yesterday at my farm and other departments' retail store. I work in the hardware and farm section, and in the mornings there's only 3 of us working this section of the store. Doesn't sound bad, but that's about 1/3 of the store, which is the size of a huge warehouse. For this tale, the main people are the weird customer, WC, and my team lead, TL. We heard on the radio that WC needed some help with one of the tractors that didn't have a price sheet on it, so I offered to go over and help. WC wasn't bad at first and was asking basic stuff about price, who made the engine, and so on. Eventually, he asked me about some sump pump that he saw in our ad that was on sale for $49. I didn't remember seeing anything about it, and we headed over to the aisle. No sales sticker was on tag, and we were also out of it. In my mind, I had a feeling that it was our upcoming ad, but either way, I told him and showed him on our inventory phone that we were out. Me. I'm sorry, looks like we're out. I don't think there's a sale going on for it yet. WC, what? Well, there's this 1/3 horsepower one right next to it. You should give me this one for the same price since you're out. As the title said, that pump was $115. There was a millisecond where I thought about laughing and was thinking the guy wasn't serious. The serious look on his face and a shake of his head made me put that idea away. With how this guy was, I decided to call my TL over since WC kept on wanting to get a deal on this pump. Not gonna happen, sir. All this time, WC is complaining about having to drive all the way from the town of Dark Prairie to get all these things on sale. The thing is, Dark Prairie's only a 15 to 20 minute drive away. Cue inner eye roll. Now my TL arrives. TL, hello, sir. How can I help you? WC, well, I saw this sump pump in your ad for $50 and you don't have any more. I'd like to get this other one for the same price. TL, did you just get that ad? Because that's only for this upcoming Friday. WC, well, it should be like the grocery store. It should start on Wednesday like them. TL, I'm sorry, but I can't give you that other one, nor could I give you any for $50 since the ad doesn't start yet. I'm sorry, but you got to read the dates on the ad. This last line given with a huge shrug. Upon hearing this, WC immediately walks away without a word, leaving me and my TL just speechless. WC tried to talk to my TL later about other stuff on sale, and my TL mainly repeated that last line from above. After finding one thing he wanted on sale, he and TL were walking to the front with me following behind. WC, yeah, he should definitely have the rest of the day off, referring to me. While this was said in a joking manner, my mind just thought, yeah, you're the reason I'd want the rest of this day off. This is a perfect specimen of the retail math customer, the one who genuinely believes that a store being out of a sale item entitles them to a completely different, more expensive project for the sale price. It's a special kind of logic that only exists in the minds of people determined to win a negotiation that nobody else is having. And our next story. The task he said would take 2 weeks took me half a minute, and I did it live on the conference call. So this is a story about unintentional but satisfying petty revenge. A while ago, I worked in the IS, Information Services Department, for a fairly large company. My boss at the time was a typical toxic middle manager. He'd take credit for his employees' successes and blame them and even write them up for his own incompetence. The director of another department was dissatisfied with the support of the IS department in general, due to my boss, but fortunately liked me in particular, so she worked out a deal where I'd work directly for her. I was so grateful, as she was smart and competent. There were conditions, like I'd have to run certain things past old boss before I did something, but there was an exception where new boss could tell me to do something if she deemed it urgent/important, and then I'd inform old boss after the fact. Well, one day I was on a conference call with old boss, his team, or victims, his boss, VP, and new boss. New boss said she urgently needed something done. Well, old boss always said something would take 2 weeks when he had no idea how long it would actually take, so he said it would take 2 weeks. New boss didn't like that answer, so during the call, new boss messaged me and asked how long it would take me to do it. I replied it was a simple database update and would literally take me 30 seconds. She replied, do it. So I ran the SQL update statement. Everyone was still discussing the issue when I interrupted that I'd already fixed the issue. Old boss said, obviously irritated, "Why did you ask me how long it would take if you've already done it?" I said, "I hadn't already done it. I just did it now. It took 30 seconds. He just mumbled something and we went on with the call. No one clapped, and I wish I could say he was fired soon after, but he lasted a long time with the company. But as I passed my former coworkers in the hall after the call, I got a few thumbs up and big smiles, and he never advanced beyond middle management. This is what corporate poetry looks like. Efficiency, quietly humiliating incompetence. He got to keep his job title, sure, but everyone knew who the actual expert was. Nothing burns a bad boss faster than public proof that his whole leadership style is obsolete. And our last story. Karen tried to prove we weren't really disabled. And our last story. The Karen who tried to steal our campsite. A few weeks ago, my husband and I went on a long-awaited road trip. One of those we've earned this kind of getaways. Unfortunately, I managed to sprain my ankle on the second day. Crutches at first, cane later, not the best start, but I wasn't about to let a minor injury ruin our vacation. One evening, we arrived at a quiet campground that was tucked into a national park. Beautiful scenery, lake nearby, the works. We checked in, got our assigned site, and double-checked with the ranger before setting up. Everything was correct. Spot confirmed, paperwork in order. A few hours later, an RV pulled into the site next to ours. Out came this woman, mid-50s, blonde, ponytail, sunglasses, the unmistakable air of someone who believes campground etiquette doesn't apply to her. She immediately stomped over to my husband and barked, "You're in our spot." He looked confused. No, ma'am, this is Site 42. We confirmed it with management. She crossed her arms, glaring at him like she was scolding a child. No, we booked 42. Before my husband could reply, a man came out of the RV, her husband, I assumed, and gently pulled her away, whispering something that sounded a lot like, "Honey, let's not start." We shrugged it off, thinking maybe it was just a mix-up. It happens. We went back to roasting marshmallows and trying to forget about it. Except Karen didn't forget. We could hear them that evening, sitting outside their RV, arguing in hushed tones. The words "our site" and "those people" floated through the air more than once. At one point, she snapped. She's not even disabled. She's faking it for sympathy. I wanted to yell something back, but I didn't. My husband squeezed my hand, quietly saying, "Not worth it." The next morning, I was hobbling to the campground bathroom with my cane when I saw her watching me. She looked me up and down and muttered loud enough for me to hear, "See, not disabled. If she can walk, she doesn't need that stick." That was strike two. Later that day, we came back from a short hike to find our folding chairs moved, our fire pit scattered, and a note taped to our tent flap that said, "You need to vacate. This is our site." I just stood there in disbelief. She's kidding, right? Nope. As if on cue, Karen appeared, phone in hand, recording us. "You're trespassing," she said. "I'm calling security." My husband tried reasoning with her, showing her our reservation paper, but she kept shouting about how we were squatters and taking advantage of disabled perks, which, for the record, don't even exist in this campground. She actually called security. The park ranger, a poor 20-something guy who looked like he didn't get paid enough for this nonsense, arrived about 15 minutes later. He checked both of our reservations, looked at the campsite number, and sighed, "Ma'am, they're in the correct spot. You were assigned Site 43. It's on your receipt." Karen snatched the paper from his hand and glared at it like she could change the number through sheer indignation. "No, that's not right. I asked for 42. I always get 42. This is a mistake." The ranger stayed calm. "You'll need to take it up with the office. For now, please go back to your site." Karen huffed, stomped back to her RV, and started muttering to her husband. We could hear snippets like favoritism, rules don't apply, and my personal favorite, "I bet she's one of those influencers pretending to be disabled for free stuff." I thought it was over, but that night at around 10:30, our camp light suddenly went out. My husband went to check the power hookup. It had been unplugged. Guess whose extension cord was now plugged in instead? Karen's. We reconnected ours, but when we woke up the next morning, it was unplugged again, and this time someone had thrown our plug into the brush behind the site. That was strike three. My husband marched down to the ranger station. Security came up again, but this time the ranger brought a second officer with him, a park police deputy. They checked the cameras near the utility hookups. Clear as day, there was Karen at 10:32 p.m. walking up with a flashlight, unplugging our line and plugging hers in. The deputy knocked on their RV door. She tried denying it, then claimed it was a misunderstanding, then claimed her husband did it, then burst into tears about how we were bullying her. It didn't work. The deputy calmly told her tampering with someone else's electrical hookup was considered vandalism on federal property. She was fined, warned that she'd be banned from the park if it happened again, and told to relocate immediately to the overflow area. When she realized they were serious, she completely unraveled, shouting about favoritism, how campground should be for normal people, and how the disabled faker had ruined her vacation. Security escorted them out before noon. We spent the rest of the day sitting by the lake, drinking coffee, and laughing about how surreal it all was. Karen got her tantrum, we got peace, the right site, and one hell of a story. Unfortunately, these women seem to like marrying/being with genuinely nice people. Maybe a bit naive, maybe thinking they could change her, but in reality, they just get walked over time and time again. I think these Karens do it because that means there will almost always be someone they can lord over all the time. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.